So believe it or not, there's 3 secret files that you need to be able to ultimately increase your FICO score by hundreds of points in the next few months. I have 3 very basic manila envelopes that just look like this, and each one has the Credit Reporting Bureau, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion on the top. And then I have something called a credit log, which I print out and I put inside of every single one of these files. So what is all of this for, and what does this mean? Well, when you start to go through the process of realizing, hey, we live in a credit dependent society, having a 400 plus, 500 plus, 600 plus FICO score is not going to cut it if you want to buy a house, if you want to have an new auto loan or auto lease, or if you want to be able to access unsecured credit, you're not going to be able to exist in society with a low FICO score. So many people during the pandemic, they were heavily reliant on credit. Some of them were unable to pay their bills, and guess what? They have a lower FICO score because of it. So now is a really good time for you to start fixing your credit. And there's a way to do that through my secret letters. But first of all, I want to explain to you exactly what you should do in the process of disputing everything so that you do it properly and you have the best possible chance of actually having things removed off of your credit as quickly as possible. So back to these secret files. So you want to make sure you physically print out everything. You want to actually have a physical printed out copy of your current credit report. Go to Experian.com, spend the $40, get all 3 credit reports and the 3 FICO scores, or you can get it online for free at other locations online. Make sure you physically print out the reports and then go through the report and highlight everything that's delinquent, everything that's adverse, and everything that's negatively impacting your current FICO score and your current credit. So you want to make sure you highlight everything, and then you want to go ahead and send 3 different letters to each of the credit reporting bureaus. One's going to go to Equifax, one's going to go to Experian, one's going to go to TransUnion. And you want to physically mail the letter off. I will give you a free template that you can download, and you will literally download it, put all of your different delinquent accounts into the spaces that are provided in the letter template that I have for you, and you will mail them off physically to each individual credit bureau separately. One will go to Experian, one will go to Equifax, one will go to TransUnion, and preferably you'll have either a signature confirmation or some kind of delivery confirmation so that you have proof that they received your letter. In addition to that, make sure that you include a copy of your driver's license. It needs to be a current copy of your driver's license, not an expired driver's license or an ID card that includes preferably your current address. And you should also include 2 utility bills that have your name and physical address where you currently reside right now. The reason you want to do this is because a lot of these credit bureaus will start the process of buying time, buying themselves an additional 30 days at your cost and at your expense by basically sending you a form letter back saying, oh, I'm sorry, we don't believe that this is you. You need to verify your identity. So in the initial contact with these credit reporting bureaus, you need to have that letter, and you need to have a copy of your driver's license and a copy of at least 2 utility bills showing your name and address, that you're proving that you live at this current location. If you've moved recently within the past 2 years, I strongly recommend that in the letter you include your current address underneath your signature and your old address that you just moved from. So then that way they can reference the 2 addresses. So that's really, really important. Now you're probably wondering, Monica, why would I physically want to mail the letter when I could actually dispute these things online? Well, the problem with disputing online is that you have the least opportunity to be able to have anything delinquent or negative removed because you're talking computer to computer. So a computer on the credit reporting bureau side is going to be talking to another computer, which is going to be probably with the collection agency or the original bank or lender. And therefore, the original bank and lender is going to immediately send something back that says, oh, sorry, this is definitely his or her account. So they're just trying to pull a shenanigan and therefore leave it on their credit report. But when you send a physical letter in the mail that's physically signed by you, make sure you always sign everything, then they can't say, this is going to go directly to a computer in a collection. It's not going to go directly to any kind of computer in a lending institution or anything like that to get a response. So they're literally going to have to take your letter, physically have a person type it into the computer, and then their system is going to kick out a physical letter to that lender or that collection agency or whoever it is that's saying that you owe the money. So the cool thing about this whole thing is that when you include physical people into the equation, there's a lot of mistakes that are made, people dropping the ball, people that are not responding on time. So let me give you a little bit of background on how this works. So when you're saying that something is not accurate on your credit report, by law, the credit reporting bureaus have to do a 30-day investigation. And so in that investigative time, they basically take your complaint, your letter, and say, hey, creditor, there's this person saying that this is not accurate. So go ahead and prove to us that this person did business with you. Prove to us that this person actually has this debt. And so that creditor or collection agency or bank or whoever it is that's saying that you owe that money has to, by law, come back with proof that this is your debt. And so a lot of times what happens is when there's a lot of human beings in the process, in the interim, they either don't give the correct information or they don't give any information at all in a timely fashion, which is that 30-day time frame. And so you can have a lot of things removed off of your credit in the shortest amount of time possible by simply physically sending out these letters. So back to these files, each and every time you actually send out a letter, you're going to basically have full evidence of exactly what you're doing, what the response was, the dates that you sent everything, to keep everything in order. Also, any single correspondence that you receive from any of the credit bureaus, put in every respective folder. Because what generally happens is that when things are removed off of your credit, say for example you owe money to Capital One, and you were able to successfully have it removed off your credit because you're saying that this is inaccurate information. You didn't say it wasn't your account. You didn't say it was your account. You just said it was inaccurate. So they sent out the letter, and maybe somebody at Capital One never responded, so the credit bureaus took it off your credit. Well, say for example, ABC Collection Agency buys that debt from Capital One later and decides to put it back on your credit report. Well, you want to always save every bit of correspondence that you always receive from the credit reporting bureaus, because then what happens by law, if that creditor puts it back on your credit from the original loan or the original credit card that you had and that you've already had removed, guess what? You go back to the credit bureaus and you say, hey, you already took this off. So even though this is a different collection agency, it's for the same loan, the same debt, the same credit card, the same whatever, you have to by law take it off because you've already taken it off before. So you have to keep your evidence in these folders. Otherwise what happens is if you don't keep this paperwork, then they could put it on your credit again under a different collection agency or creditor, and you won't have any recourse and any proof that they originally removed it because you threw away all the paperwork. You don't want to do that. So these files are going to get really thick, really fast. Just keep really meticulous notes, very meticulous folders, and you want to make sure that you keep record of everything that you do. Every 35 days, you want to have a new round of letters going out, and you want to keep doing this over and over and over again. You could typically get around 11 rounds of letters out in a single year. And man, your credit score can go way up in a short period of time by simply having letters that keep physically going out to these 3 credit reporting bureaus. Now you're probably wondering, well, why wouldn't I just deal directly with the creditor? Don't do that. You don't want to start the whole conversation about how this information is incorrect on your credit reports by contacting and giving them the heads up that you're about to dispute this with the credit reporting bureau. Start with the credit reporting bureaus and disputing it first with them, and then later on you could deal with the creditors if you want to later, but never start with the creditors. Always start with the credit reporting bureaus in the dispute process first. Now you're probably wondering, well, what if this is really my debt, Monica? Am I not being honest with the credit reporting bureaus by saying that this is inaccurate? Well, technically it's inaccurate, because even if the debt is really yours, take for example, maybe you had a Bank of America credit card and maybe you rented up $5,000 and you didn't pay it for whatever reason, maybe you lost your job, whatever, and now it's up to $7,500. Well, we don't know what the fine print and your state laws and all of these things say, so chances are there's a 99.9% chance that the amount of fees, compound and interest, and other things that they charged you on that debt was inaccurate in some way. So when you're saying this debt is inaccurate and needs to be investigated by law, you have 30 days to prove that this debt is correct. You're not actually lying. You're not saying it is your debt. You're not saying it isn't your debt. You're just saying it's incorrect. And chances are it is incorrect because many of those banks are, in and of themselves, are fraudsters anyway. And they're actually adding fees and legal things and all these other things in the mix that you probably don't really owe anyway. So when you're saying it's inaccurate, that is actually true and correct. You're not lying to anyone, so don't feel bad about that at all. Trust me, these banks are making billions of dollars on people like you and me, so your little $5,000 debt isn't going to hurt anybody, okay? So go ahead and do this. Start the process of printing out your physical credit reports. Send out an individual letter one to Equifax, one to Experian, one to TransUnion. Make sure you get a signature or delivery confirmation on the receipt of that letter, and make sure you keep meticulous records of every single piece of information that comes back from these credit bureaus, and keep a meticulous in-date order file, including your log. Fill everything out. I like to physically do everything. I will give you a copy of this log as a download. I will also give you the Excel version of it in case you want to keep your log on your computer. And I will also give you the dispute letters as a template that you can use to be able to start chiseling this stuff off of your credit. And by the way, from this point forward, start paying your bills. Start paying your bills on time. Start paying your car loan on time. Start paying your credit cards on time. So while you're actually in the process of getting rid of the stuff that's delinquent on your credit report, you could at the same time start rebuilding credit. If you don't have a small balance credit card, like a $250 credit card, go get one of those. Maybe get yourself a Ford auto loan. Ford like pretty much approves everybody. Start rebuilding your credit at the same time as chiseling these things off of your credit. And before you know it, your FICO score will jump up several hundred points within a short period of time, all right? So go to secretcreditletters.com right now, and you can actually get a free download of the dispute letter, and you can get a download of the credit log, whether it's the online or offline version that you actually want, all right? So go ahead and do that right now, and you could also click on the link below, and there's a link in the description box to be able to get directly there. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. This is Monica Main signing off, and I will see you at the top.